There's our last hole. You know, I'll be glad when this last footer is done, and it's not because I don't like digging, because I do, but I'm excited to get this finished and moving on to the next stage of the project. That's why I'll be glad when it's done. Well, I think I just about have this hole ready to go as well. I'm angling pretty good downhill right here on this end. I'm cheating just a little bit. I'm using this jigsaw. Are you cooling off? What are you doing, Bubba? What are you doing? Well, friends, it's the next morning and we got one hole left to do. So Jennifer will be here shortly and we'll get after it.
Hey friends, before we get started, we wanted to give a special shout out to
Sheridan Park Farms, a fellow by the name of Chuck that we had no idea
watched our channel.
Not only existed but had a channel, but has been watching us and said that pretty much that we've made an impact in him to get outside and to do some projects and things of that nature, but it didn't look to me like he had any problem doing it. But anyway, it might be a channel that you guys might be interested in, so run over there and check it out. Like I said, Sheridan Park Farms, because it appears like he's got quite a few people that enjoy watching the videos he makes.
Yeah, and listen, we actually hope to meet up with him sometime in the near future, so thank you, Chuck, for the shout out.
Absolutely. We got one hole left to pour, so we're going to go ahead and get everything fired up and get busy. Well, friends, Jennifer saved the day again today.
Oh yeah.
By going and getting some more anchor bolts. So now we can finish pouring this last hole. Isn't that exciting?
I can hear everyone doing a round of applause.
Well, I'll tell you, we had just enough to make this pour. That's 12 bags right in here. It worked out really good. All right.
Woohoo!
Jennifer says, can you dig it? I said it's already been dug and it's been poured too.
It has. It sure has.
This is the last hole, and I'm excited, not because this is the last hole and I don't want to pour anymore. No, I'm just lying. That's Jennifer. She's excited because this is the end of this portion of the project, and then next I've got to go and pick up the 6x6s to go on here as soon as this sets up. So this is exciting.
It is. Way to go, Dad.
Well, friends, so this is a 16 foot right here. What I'm going to do is pull it down to where it's flush with that end down there, cut it off, because this is where I'm going to have to make a splice. Then I'll have a 6 footer go from here to the end. Then what I need to do is turn around and come back this way to here with the next one, and then I will go from here all the way to the end. That way my splices don't end up on the same, or in the same area. Then the other two, we're going to do the same thing. Next one. Let me get it started. Okay. Well, we about got the first side. Right here, I get this one, I think, by myself.
Look at you go.
This one might need a little persuasion. How about that? Well, I'll tell you what, friends, it rained pretty good, didn't it?
It did, but it feels so good.
Yeah, it does. Well, we're about 3/4 done. How about that? Woo-wee! Some of these are warped just a little, and I'm hoping that the timber screws will pull them together. So we're not tightening these down yet. I'll do the same for those over there. Then we will tighten them down. What I'm doing right now is I'm marking where these anchor bolts are going. Then we're going to drill them out. This has to go over 2 1/4. Okay. I'm making a pilot hole here. That's why I'm using such a small drill. Then we'll take the big auger. We run the auger through next. And one more and we'll cut it off. Well, we still got to drill the other hole though, don't we?
Yep.
And we'll cut this end off like that. Let me get over here.
I'm down.
Oops. Y'all leave us some comments and let us know what you think about this foundation that we built for this sawmill, because honestly, I was telling Jennifer earlier, I went on YouTube and I tried to find where somebody had built a nice heavy-duty frame, and I couldn't really find. A lot of people did a really good job, but a lot of them, you know, like these smaller posts that I put in the ground with those heavy logs slamming them all the time, I figured it'd be like a hammer driving a nail into the ground. These would be a lot harder to drive in the ground because they're flat on the bottom, you know, and there's a big foot underneath this top piece right here because it's actually wider than the top piece. But yeah, this would be what I consider heavy duty.
I think it's the sturdiest built frame on YouTube.
But I think what we're going to have to do though is I'm going to have to do a little planing on some of these areas, because honestly folks, the wood that you buy at the store is kind of like some that I mill here on the homestead, is crooked. And these aren't straight, are they?
No.
So we had to turn them the best way that we thought that they would go down, but still yet there's still some cracks. But now the timber screws will pull these together, and then the anchor bolts will pull them down. So with the width that I've got here, I'm not worried. But man, you talk about heavy duty.
Yes, heavy duty.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is not going in. Listen, in the event of a tornado, you put on the line belt. You know what that is. You know that I used to climb poles with. You come down, you put your strap down here, and you'd be just like that movie Tornado, when the guy was in the well house and the tornado was picking him up, but he was anchored around the well and he was just floating in the air. That's what would happen right here on these things, because I don't think they would go anywhere. Okay guys, since we got all of those timbers set, it is time to put the timber screws in there to lock them together. So we got quite a few holes to drill and quite a few screws to put in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start right here and pull these together right in this area, and then I will tighten this one down. We'll just tighten this down to the footer, and that should hold it for a while. Actually going to work on all the joints before I put any in between. Now the reason that I'm putting these lag screws in there, because when I tie this one to this one, that will help to distribute the whole load, because if this one gives with the timber screws in there, then it has to make this one give, which is very unlikely because I'm only spanning 6 feet, but you get the principle, right? Plus, these weren't quite straight, so I'm pulling them in as tight as I can. So instead of having a 1/4 inch gap, I might have it an 1/8 of an inch gap now, but that's just the wood, you know, there's nothing that I can do about that unless I had planed every bit of it down on all 4 sides, and that would have been a lot of work. Anyway, so we got timber screws right here, which pulls these two to this one, and I'm fixing to put one down here on this end. But I think what I'll do is tighten these up right now, right here, because I've got those in there, and I'm trying to tighten them as I go. Well, I went through and I got all of my joints, so all I'm doing now is adding some in between, or that I have some about every 3 feet. I'm just going back through and checking all of these to retighten anything that may have got loose. Some of them I purposely took them loose so that I could get all these corners even. Well, friends, is this not the coolest Sawmill Foundation that you have ever seen? I believe this beats all that I've seen on YouTube and all that I've seen ever in my life. This is overkill. But like I said, the reason that I had to double up on these is because they got the feet offset. So without having to pour more of these, I figured that 5 of those, extra big and bulky, and then a couple of these running side by side, I've got 18 anchor bolts and 22 timber screws holding these together and holding them down. So I don't believe it's going to go anywhere. But we'll wait and see when the sawmill gets here. But the way that I've got this figured out is the sawmill rails, the outside of the rails are going to set probably right about like this. So I'll actually have a lip on each side, and I'll have a lip on the inside as far as the feet go. But yeah, this is what the track will set on, and I believe that we're going to be okay for heavy duty logs. There's one.
How many of y'all have carried a logging stick into the woods? You know, the quick way that you measure your logs to cut them and you can't lose your tape. And then if honestly you lose this, you just go make another one.
Show them how it works.
Huh?
Show them how it works. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
That's 18 feet real quick, right?
Yep. Sure is. Dad's got that elbow grease today.
Now, what these are
cant hooks. Ta-da!
Yeah. Just push it back on there. There we go. Just like that. Keep them up there and out of the way. Yeah, we're just trying to organize things a little bit down here. I've got my big old spud bar right over here in the corner.
With our logging stick.
With our logging stick. Got my brush to brush the wood off. Got my scraper right there. I think what we're going to do is build a small shelf right here, about 1 foot wide. That way I can set some lubricants and things like that on there. Then once I get that in, I'll bring some more tools. We'll hang these down here. Then once I get that wall finished down there, there'll be another area where I can actually place some tools over here as well.
But sorry.
Where they'll be handy.
Listen, if you have used a logging stick, I want you to leave it in the comments. I'm curious to see how many of you have used them and knew what I was talking about. Well, y'all, after doing some digging on the good old YouTube, we did find someone that may come in close to the most heavy-duty rail system for a sawmill, and that is Two Guys Timber Framing.
Yeah, you might want to go check that out if you're interested in building a frame. They did one that was timber frame style. They did build a nice one, so I do want to give them credit for that.